The maintenance bay was quiet at night. Doyen liked it that way. During the day, the place buzzed with activity. Aliens from a dozen different species brought their ships and equipment for repairs. Everyone talked too much. Everyone wanted things done their way. But at night, it was just him and the machines. He was working on a plasma cutter when the door opened. Doyen looked up and froze. A Valkyrian stood in the doorway. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with scales that shimmered green and gold under the lights. Her armor sparked and smoked. Dark fluid leaked from several joints. She limped forward, each step careful and painful. Doyen had seen Valkyrians before. They were warriors, famous across the galaxy. Their armor was legendary. It bonded with their bodies, becoming a second skin. People said the armor was alive somehow. No one really understood how it worked except the Valkyrians themselves. "You are the human engineer," she said. Her voice was rough like gravel scraping metal. "That's me," Doyen replied. He put down his tools and walked closer. "That armor looks bad. It is failing." She touched a panel on her chest. The armor flickered with weak light. "I need it repaired. I deploy in 8 hours. Doyen circled around her, examining the damage. Burn marks covered the back plates. Several power conduits hung loose, crackling with dangerous energy. The worst damage was near the core, where the armor connected to her spine. That section was dark, completely dead. "Where's your armorer?" Doyen asked. "Your people have specialists for this. Off station. He will not return for 3 days. She watched Doyen with yellow eyes that didn't blink. "I heard stories about you. They say you fix impossible things. Who says that?" "Everyone," she paused. "They also say you are reckless, that you ignore safety rules, that you should have died many times." Doyen grinned. "Yeah, that sounds about right." He tapped the damaged core section. "I can fix this. Give me 6 hours." The Valkyrian stared at him. "You cannot. This armor is bonded to my biology. Only trained Valkyrian technicians understand the systems. The core temperature reaches 800 degrees. The bioelectric feedback would kill most species. The radiation alone—" "I fixed worse," Doyen interrupted. He was already pulling tools from his workbench. "What's your name?" "Hana, Commander Hana of the 5th Strike Fleet." "Okay, Commander Hana, I'm Doyen. Now hold still while I start diagnostics." He attached sensors to various points on her armor. His display screen lit up with data. Most of it was in Valkyrian script, but Doyen had learned to read it months ago. Numbers were numbers in any language. Energy flows were energy flows. You cannot simply— Hana began, but stopped when Doyen reached behind her and disconnected a main power line. The armor went completely dark. "What are you doing?" "That connection cannot be severed while bonded." "Sure it can. I just did it." Doyen pulled over a standing work light. "You'll feel cold for a bit. The armor's not regulating your body temperature right now. But if I don't shut it down, I can't fix it." Hana felt a chill spread through her body. The armor was heavy without power. She wanted to object, to tell this small human that he was making a terrible mistake. But she had no other options. Her squad needed her. The mission was critical. "Sit down," Doyen said, pointing to a work chair. "This is going to take a while." She sat. The chair groaned under her weight. Doyen rolled over on a wheeled stool and began working on her back. She felt his hands moving across the armor, felt tools cutting and prying at panels that were never meant to be opened. "Where did you learn to repair Valkyrian technology?" she asked. "I didn't. This is my first time." Hana's blood went cold. "What?" "Never worked on Valkyrian armor before," Doyen said cheerfully. He had removed an entire backplate. Hana felt air on her scales underneath. "But I fixed life support systems, quantum drives, and a medical pod that was supposed to be beyond repair. Technology is technology. Once you understand the principles, the rest is just problem solving. This is insane. I should leave right now." "You won't, though." Doyen's voice was confident. "Because you know I'm your only chance. And because you can tell I know what I'm doing." He was right. Hana could feel it in the way he worked. His movements were sure and quick. He wasn't guessing. Every cut, every disconnection, every adjustment was deliberate. He worked like someone who had done this 1,000 times before, even though he claimed this was his first. Hours passed. Hana watched as best she could, twisting to see what the human was doing. Doyen removed components she didn't even know could be removed. He exposed the armor's inner workings, things that Valkyrian technicians handled with specialized tools and protective equipment. At one point, He grabbed a power coupling with his bare hand. Hana saw electricity arc through his fingers. The human grunted but didn't let go. He held it steady while recalibrating the connection with his other hand. Stop. That voltage will... It's fine, Doyen said through gritted teeth. Hurts like hell, but it's fine. I need to hold this steady. Almost got it. When he finally let go, his palm was red and blistered. He shook his hand a few times and kept working. Your species is insane, Hana said quietly. Probably. Doyen was deep inside the armor now, working near the core. But we get results. How are you not dead? That electricity alone should have stopped your heart. I was careful. Sort of. Look, I've worked on live power systems since I was a kid. You learn what you can touch and what you can't. You learn how much current you can handle. He pulled out a burnt circuit board. This is your main problem. This board regulates energy flow to your weapon systems. It's fried. That board cannot be replaced. It is custom grown for each armor suit. Can't replace it, Doyen agreed. But I can rebuild it. He was already at his workbench soldering new connections onto the damaged board. It won't be pretty, but it'll work. Might even work better than before. Hana watched this human work with materials and methods that seemed primitive compared to Velkarian technology. He used a welding torch where Velkarians would use a molecular bonder. He used simple wire where they would use synthetic neural fibers. He made it work anyway. Why do you do this? Hana asked. Why take these risks? Why not refuse a job that could kill you? Doyen looked up from his work. His face was streaked with grease and sweat. Because you need your armor fixed. Because your mission matters. Because I can help, he smiled. We humans are good at doing things we probably shouldn't do. It's kind of our specialty. 4 hours had passed. The damaged circuit board was back in place. Doyen was reconnecting power systems, his hands moving inside energy fields that glowed with dangerous light. Hana found herself leaning forward, watching carefully. This fragile creature, soft and small compared to her warrior's body, was risking himself to help her. She had seen many brave acts in combat, but this was different somehow. This was quiet courage, the courage to work in darkness, to risk pain and death for someone he barely knew. The armor hummed. Power flowed through it again. Hana felt warmth spreading across her scales as the systems came back online. Her display screens lit up, showing system status. Everything was green. No better than green. Some systems showed improved performance. There, Doyen said. He rolled back on his stool, looking exhausted. All fixed. Better than before, actually. I made a few improvements while I was in there. Hana stood. The armor responded perfectly. She ran a full diagnostic. Every system was operational. The core was stable. The power flow was smooth. She moved through a series of combat poses. The armor moved with her like it never had before. She looked at Doyen. The human's hands were burnt and shaking. He had chemical burns on his arms. His face was pale with exhaustion. You need medical attention, she said. I'm fine. Just tired, he grinned. Your armor won't wait for proper equipment. I did what needed doing. Hana felt something unfamiliar. Respect, certainly. Gratitude, obviously. But something else, too. Something she would only understand later. In the heat of battle, when their roles would reverse and she would find herself saying words she never thought she'd say. Doyen's supervisor arrived at dawn. Taiyang was a nervous man on the best days. When he saw what Doyen had done, he became even more nervous. You took apart Velkarian armor? Taiyang's voice went up an octave. Do you understand how much trouble we could be in? Do you know what that armor costs? It's fixed, Doyen said simply. Check the logs. All systems are better than baseline. Hana stood in the corner, still wearing her armor. She had refused to leave the maintenance bay. The mission briefing was in 3 hours, and she wanted to be absolutely certain the repairs would hold. Taeyang looked at her, then at Doyun, then back at her. Commander, I apologize for any protocol violations. If this human damaged your equipment, the Coalition will... The human saved my life, Hana interrupted. Without this armor, I would be unable to deploy. My squad would be incomplete. The mission would be compromised. Taeyang blinked. Oh, well, that's good then. He left quickly, muttering about filing reports. Doyun stretched and yawned. I should get some sleep before my next shift. Wait, Hana said. I want to understand something. How did you know you could fix my armor? You had never worked on it before. You took risks that would kill most engineers. Why were you so confident? Doyen thought about it for a moment. You ever hear about Earth? About where humans come from? I know the basic information. A medium-sized planet with standard gravity. Your species developed technology relatively late compared to most coalition members. That's the official version. Here's the real version. Doyen sat down on his workbench. Earth is a nightmare planet. The weather tries to kill us. The animals try to kill us. Diseases, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms. Everything wants us dead. Hana tilted her head. Most planets have dangers. Not like Earth. We didn't have thick scales like you. We didn't have natural weapons. We were soft and weak and slow. We should have died out millions of years ago. Doyen held up his burnt hands. But we didn't, you know why? Because we learned to try things, to experiment, to take risks. That seems inefficient. Many must have died. Oh, thousands, millions probably. But some survived, and they taught others what they learned. We figured out fire even though fire burns. We figured out electricity even though electricity kills. We went to space in tin cans that exploded half the time. He laughed. We're not smarter than other species. We're just more stubborn. We don't accept impossible as an answer. Hana processed this. Her species had developed technology slowly and carefully. Every advance was tested thoroughly. Safety was paramount. The idea of rushing forward, risking death to learn something new, was foreign to Velcarian thinking. Your species is insane, she said again. Yeah, but we get results. The mission briefing was in the tactical center. Hana stood with her strike team, 5 other Velcarians in similar armor. They were reviewing the plan to extract a coalition diplomat from enemy territory. The diplomat was trapped on Viridian 7, a planet currently under attack by hostile forces. The extraction window was narrow. They would drop in, grab the diplomat, and get out. Simple in theory. Complicated in practice. Your armor looks different, one of her squad members said. His name was Junho. He commanded the heavy weapons team. I had repairs done last night. By the human? Yes, Junho laughed. That's a good joke, Commander. It's not a joke. The laughter stopped. Unyo stared at her. You let a human work on bonded armor? Have you lost your mind? I had no choice. It was the human or nothing. And it works better than before. Hana ran a quick system check on her display. The core is more efficient. The power distribution is smoother. The human made improvements. Impossible. Test it yourself. Junho connected his armor's diagnostic system to hers. His eyes widened as he read the data. This should not be possible. These efficiency numbers are beyond factory specifications. The human doesn't know what's possible or impossible, Hana said, so he just does the work. The mission launched 2 hours later. 6 Velcarian warriors in a stealth dropship, heading into hostile territory. The flight was tense. Everyone checked their equipment multiple times. Everything needed to work perfectly. Hana felt her armor respond to every thought. The neural connection was clearer than before. When she tensed her muscles, the armor amplified her strength instantly. No lag, no hesitation. Whatever Doyen had done, it had improved the bond. They dropped from orbit in individual pods. Heat shields glowed red as they cut through the atmosphere. Enemy sensors swept the area, but the pods were stealthed. They landed in a forest 3 kilometers from the target location. All units sound off, Hana commanded. 5 voices confirmed they had landed safely. They moved through the forest in formation. The armor's environmental systems kept them cool despite the planet's heat. Motion sensors watched for enemy patrols. Weapon systems armed automatically. The extraction point was a collapsed embassy building. The diplomat, a Ferrani named Kisu, was hiding in the basement. They had 12 minutes to get in, find him, and get out before enemy reinforcements arrived. It went smoothly at first. They breached the building, cleared the upper floors, and located the basement entrance. Kisu was there, frightened but alive. Junho secured him while the rest of the team set up a defensive perimeter. That's when the ambush happened. The enemy had been waiting. They must have tracked the drop pods despite the stealth systems. Plasma fire erupted from 3 directions. The building's walls exploded inward. Hana's squad returned fire, but they were pinned. We need immediate evac. Hana shouted into the comms. Under heavy fire at extraction point. Evac is 15 minutes out, the response came. Can you hold? Hana watched her armor's display as enemy forces surrounded their position. 60 hostiles. Maybe more? Negative. We need support now. An explosion rocked the building. Part of the roof collapsed. Debris slammed into Hana and she felt her armor take damage. Warning lights appeared on her display. The left shoulder unit was compromised. The back power coupling was failing. Not again, she thought. Not now, Commander. My weapon system is down. One of her squad called. Mine too, another voice shouted. The enemy weapons were using some kind of electromagnetic pulse. It was degrading their armor systems. One by one, her squad was losing capability. Hana made a decision that would have been unthinkable a day ago. She opened a direct comm channel, bypassing the normal military frequencies. She called the station. Not command. Not tactical support. Maintenance Bay, this is Commander Hana. I need to speak with Doyon immediately. There was confusion on the other end. Someone was explaining that Maintenance Bay workers didn't take field calls, that this was a breach of protocol. Get me the human engineer or we're all going to die down here, Hana snarled. A moment later, a familiar voice came through. Doyon here. What's wrong? My armor is damaged again. Worse than before. I'm in combat. No time for proper repair. She sent him her diagnostic data. Can you talk me through a field repair? Silence. Then, no, I need to be there. That's impossible. We're in a combat zone. Then I guess I'm going to a combat zone. Hold on, Commander. Help is coming. The comm went dead. Hana crouched behind debris, firing her weapon with her good arm. The armor was failing fast. Her display flickered. Power was dropping. She had maybe 10 minutes before the suit completely shut down. A crazy human was coming to save her. A soft, fragile human with no combat training. Coming to one of the most dangerous planets in this sector. Because she had asked, she had called the wrong person for help. She should have called for military support, for proper evacuation, for anything except a maintenance engineer. But somehow deep in her warrior's heart she knew she had called exactly the right person. The human would come. The human would fix the impossible. Because that's what humans did. She just had to stay alive long enough for him to arrive. All units, defensive positions, Hana commanded. We have support incoming. Hold this position at all costs. Her squad rallied around her. They didn't know what kind of support was coming. They didn't need to know. They trusted their commander. In the distance, Hana could hear engines. The evac ship was still 10 minutes away. But another sound was getting closer, smaller, faster. A human was coming to save them, and somehow, impossibly, Hana believed he would. The rapid response ship dropped through the atmosphere like a falling star. Inside, Doyon checked his equipment for the third time. He had tools, spare parts, and absolutely no idea what he was doing. Well, that wasn't quite true. He knew how to fix armor. He just didn't know how to fix armor while people were shooting at him. This is the stupidest thing you've ever done, said Nari. The doctor sat across from him, checking her medical supplies. And I've seen you do a lot of stupid things. She needs help. She needs a tactical support team and proper evacuation, not a maintenance engineer. She called me, Doyon said simply. Nari sighed. You know what? You're right. That's somehow worse. She knows you're crazy and she still called you. The pilot's voice came through the speakers. 60 seconds to drop zone. We're taking fire. This is going to be rough, the ship shook. Plasma bolts streaked past the windows. Doyon gripped his equipment bag tighter. Through the window, he could see the collapsed building where Hana's team was trapped. Smoke rose from multiple locations. Energy weapons lit up the ruins with bright flashes. Coalition Marines will secure a perimeter, the pilot continued. You'll have maybe 5 minutes before enemy forces push through. Make them count. The ship hit the ground hard. The ramp dropped. Doyon ran out into chaos. The sound was overwhelming. Weapons fire cracked and boomed. Explosions shook the ground. Marines in coalition armor formed a defensive line, their weapons blazing. Energy shields flickered as they absorbed incoming fire. This way, a Marine grabbed Doyon's shoulder and pulled him toward the ruins. They ran through destroyed walls and collapsed corridors. Debris crunched under Doyon's boots. The air smelled like burning metal and chemical smoke. This was nothing like the quiet maintenance bay. This was hell. They found Hana in what used to be a large room. She crouched behind a section of fallen wall, her armor sparking in dark. The rest of her squad held defensive positions around her, protecting their fallen commander. Doyon slid into cover beside her. I'm here. Show me the damage. Hana turned her head. Even through the armor's helmet, Doyon could see surprise in her yellow eyes. You actually came. You called. Now let me work. The damage was catastrophic. The electromagnetic pulse weapons had fried multiple systems. The armor's self-repair functions were offline. The power core was unstable, cycling between dangerous overloads and complete shutdowns. Worse, the neural interface was corrupted. Every time Hana tried to move, the armor sent pain signals through her nervous system. "This is bad," Doyen muttered. He pulled tools from his bag. "Really bad. Can you fix it?" "I don't know, maybe. The neural interface is the problem. It's sending wrong signals to your brain. I need to reset it, but that means working inside an active connection." "Explain what that means." Doyen pointed to a panel near her spine. "That's where the armor connects to your nervous system. Right now it's live. If I open it, I'll be working with direct neural pathways. One mistake and I could paralyze you. Or worse." Hana was quiet for a moment. Around them, weapons fire continued. Her squad was holding, but barely. They needed her back in the fight. "Do it," she said. "Hana, do it." "My squad needs me," Doyen nodded. He removed the back panel, exposing the neural connection. Glowing filaments pulsed with light, connected directly to Hana's spine. The energy field around them hummed with dangerous power. In the maintenance bay, he would use protective equipment for this. Insulated gloves, energy shields, safety protocols. Here, he had none of that. Just his hands and his tools and his knowledge. He reached into the energy field. Pain shot through his fingers immediately. The neural interface wasn't designed for human contact. It tried to connect with his nervous system, sending confused signals. His hand started to shake. He could feel his muscles cramping. "Stop," Hana said. "You're being hurt." "It's fine," Doyen lied through gritted teeth. His entire arm was shaking now. "Almost got it." He found the corrupted connection, a fiber that glowed red when it should have been blue. He needed to disconnect it, clean it, and reconnect it. Simple in theory. Incredibly painful in practice. His other hand fumbled for a tool. The neural energy was crawling up his arm, making his muscles spasm. He dropped the tool, picked it up, dropped it again. "Doyen, stop," Hana's voice was firm. "This will kill you." "Not yet." "It won't." He finally got the tool positioned. One quick cut and the corrupted fiber separated. The neural energy dissipated slightly. Doyen pulled his hand back, gasping. Both his arms were shaking uncontrollably. His fingers were burnt. He could smell his own skin cooking. "You're insane," Hana said quietly. "So people keep telling me." Doyen flexed his fingers, trying to get feeling back. "That was the easy part. Now I need to reconnect it properly. That means going back in." "No. I will not let you hurt yourself further for me. It's not for you. It's for your squad. Your mission. The diplomat you're trying to save." Doyen met her eyes. "And yeah, okay, maybe it's a little bit for you. You're my friend. Friends help each other. We barely know each other. Does that matter?" Hana didn't have an answer. An explosion rocked the building. Closer this time. A Marine voice came through the comms. "Perimeter is failing. We need to evacuate now." 2 more minutes, Doyen called back. He reached into the energy field again. This time was worse. The neural interface, confused by his first intrusion, was more aggressive. It tried harder to connect with his nervous system. Pain shot up his arm and into his chest. His heart stuttered. His vision went gray. "Doyen." Nari was suddenly beside him, medical scanner in hand. "Your cardiac rhythm is erratic. Stop immediately." "Can't." Almost done, he aligned the fiber carefully. The shaking in his hands made it nearly impossible. The fiber needed to connect precisely or it wouldn't work. 1 millimeter off and all this pain would be for nothing. Hana watched this fragile human risk his life for her. She had ordered soldiers into battle. She had accepted casualties as part of war. But watching Doyen deliberately hurt himself, knowing he could stop at any moment but choosing not to, was different. She understood something in that moment. Humans weren't brave because they didn't fear death. They were brave because they feared it and acted anyway. They knew exactly how fragile they were. They understood the danger. They did dangerous things in spite of that knowledge. The fiber clicked into place. Doyen pulled his hand back and collapsed against the wall. Both arms hung limp. His breathing was ragged. But the neural interface glowed blue again, healthy and functioning. "Try moving," he gasped. Hana stood. The armor responded perfectly. No pain, no lag. All systems showed green. She was back to full combat capability. But she didn't move to join the fight. She crouched beside Doyen instead. You need medical attention, she said. I'm fine. You are not fine. Your arms are burnt. Your heart rhythm is irregular. You may have permanent nerve damage. But your armor works. Yes, because you were willing to destroy yourself to fix it. Hana was silent for a moment. Then she said something she rarely said to anyone. Words that felt strange in her mouth, but necessary. Be careful. Doyen looked at her in surprise. Bit late for that, don't you think? I mean in the future. Be careful with your life. It has value. Your mission has value. Your squad has value. So do you. The words hung between them. Around them, battle raged. Marines were calling for evacuation. The enemy was closing in. But for a moment, everything else faded away. I'll try, Doyen finally said. Can't promise, though. Not really my style. Hana helped him stand. His legs were shaky, but he managed to stay upright. Nari immediately started treating his burns, spraying synthetic skin on the worst areas. Can you walk? Hana asked. Yeah, might need help, though. Hana moved to his side, supporting him with one armored arm. Then she raised her weapon and stepped out of cover. The battlefield changed instantly. Hana was back in the fight, and everyone could tell. She moved through the ruins like a force of nature, her repaired armor performing perfectly. Enemy positions that had held for minutes fell in seconds. Her squad rallied behind her, pushing forward with renewed confidence. Evac ship is landing, the pilot called. 30 seconds. They fought their way to the landing zone. Hana kept Doyen close, her armored body between him and enemy fire. When plasma bolts got too close, she simply absorbed them with her shield, the warrior protecting the engineer. Their roles had reversed completely. They reached the ship and piled inside. The ramp closed. Engines roared. They lifted off with enemy fire pinging off the hull. Inside the ship, Doyen sat with his back against the wall, exhausted and shaking. Nari worked on his arms with serious medical equipment now, muttering about humans and their death wishes. Hana sat across from him, her armor still humming with power. She removed her helmet. Her scaled face was marked with combat stress, but her eyes were grateful. Thank you, she said simply. Anytime, Doyen replied. Then he smiled. Actually, maybe not anytime. That hurt a lot. You could have died. But I didn't, and you're okay. Your squad is okay. The mission succeeded. He leaned his head back. Worth it. Hana studied this small, fragile creature who had risked everything for her. This human who should have been crushed by the dangers he faced, but who faced them anyway with nothing but tools and determination. Her people had much to learn from humans. She was beginning to understand why the coalition had recruited them. The medical bay was quiet. Doyen lay on a recovery bed, both arms wrapped in regenerative bandages. The doctor said he would heal completely in a week. The nerve damage wasn't permanent. He had been lucky. Taeyang didn't think Doyen had been lucky. Taeyang thought Doyen had been reckless and stupid, and had violated about 40 different safety regulations. He had filed a report, multiple reports. He wanted Doyen disciplined. You deployed to a combat zone, Taeyang said for the 10th time, without authorization, without training, without proper equipment. Someone needed help, Doyen replied. He was tired of this conversation. That's not your job. You're an engineer, not a soldier. Sometimes the job finds you. Taeyang left, still muttering about regulations and proper procedures and humans who didn't understand how things worked. Nari entered a few minutes later, carrying food. Brought you something better than the medical rations. Thanks. Doyen tried to sit up, but his arms protested. Everything still hurt. You know Taeyang filed 14 separate complaints about you, Nari said, sitting in the visitor's chair. Only 14? He's losing his touch. This isn't funny. You could have been killed. You could have been paralyzed. Do you understand how close you came? Yeah, I was there, remember? Nari sighed. Why do you do this? Why take these risks? Doyen thought about it. Because I can. Because someone needs to. Because sitting safe while people die feels wrong. He looked at his bandaged hands. I know I'm not a soldier. I know I'm not supposed to go into combat. But when Hana called for help, what was I supposed to do? Say no, let her armor fail? Let her squad die? You're supposed to let the professionals handle it. I am a professional. Just a different kind. The door opened again. This time it was Hana. She still wore her armor, though she had cleaned most of the combat damage off it. She moved carefully, aware that her large frame didn't fit well in spaces designed for smaller species. How is he? she asked Nari. Stubborn and stupid, but alive. Good. Hana approached the bed. I need to speak with him privately. Nari left, though not before giving Doyen a look that clearly said, Don't do anything else, stupid. Hana stood beside the bed, looking down at Doyen. For a long moment she said nothing. Then, the mission report has been filed. The diplomat is safe. My squad is intact. Command is pleased. That's good. They are less pleased about an unauthorized civilian deploying to a combat zone. Yeah, Taeyang mentioned that. A lot. I have spoken with my superiors. I explained that without your intervention, my armor would have failed. My squad would have been lost. The mission would have failed. Hana's voice was formal, but there was warmth underneath. I told them that you saved our lives at great personal risk. I was just doing what needed doing. You were being human, which I am learning is something unique in the galaxy. She reached into a compartment on her armor and pulled out a small metal disc. It was marked with Valkyrian script and symbols that Doyen didn't recognize. This is a warrior's token, Hana explained. It is given to those who have fought beside us, to those who have proven themselves in battle. She placed it on Doyen's chest. You are not Valkyrian. You are not a soldier, but you are a warrior in your own way. This is yours. Doyen picked up the token with clumsy, bandaged fingers. It was warm to the touch. I don't know what to say. Say you will be more careful in the future. Can't promise that. Hana made a sound that might have been a laugh. I know, but I ask anyway. Over the next few days, something strange happened. Word spread about what Doyen had done, about a human engineer deploying into combat to repair armor in the middle of a firefight, about burnt hands and damaged nerves and impossible repairs. Other engineers started asking questions. Other soldiers started looking at humans differently. The small, fragile species that everyone had dismissed as too weak for real military work had proven something important. They weren't weak. They were brave. A delegation arrived from Coalition Command. 3 high-ranking officers from different species here to investigate the incident. They interviewed Doyun, Hana, Taeyang, Nari, and everyone else involved. Doyun expected punishment. He had violated protocols. He had put himself in danger. He had done everything wrong by official standards. Instead, the delegation offered him a promotion. We are establishing a new division, the lead officer explained. She was a Threxian, tall and covered in feathers. The Hazard Engineering Corps. Its purpose is to handle repair and maintenance operations in hostile environments, in combat zones, in places too dangerous for standard engineering teams. You want more people doing what I did? Doyen asked, surprised. We want humans doing what you did. Your species has a unique approach to danger. You don't avoid risk. You manage it. You find ways to accomplish tasks that other species consider impossible. The officer pulled up a holographic display. Look at these statistics. In the 6 months since humans joined the coalition, human engineers have solved problems at 3 times the rate of other species. Not because you're smarter, because you're willing to try things that seem dangerous. Some would call that reckless. Some do. But results speak for themselves. We need engineers who can work under pressure, who can improvise, who can fix things when proper equipment isn't available. The officer looked at Doyen directly. We need humans. What about safety regulations? There will still be regulations, but they will be adapted for human capabilities. Your species has different tolerances than others, different risk assessments. We've been trying to make you follow rules designed for species that aren't you. That was our mistake. Doyen thought about it. A whole division of human engineers, working on the kinds of problems everyone else called impossible. It sounded exciting. It also sounded dangerous. I'm in, he said. On one condition. I choose my team. And Hana comes with us. The officer looked surprised. Commander Hana is a combat soldier, not an engineer. She's someone who understands humans, who knows how we work, who can help keep us alive while we're being brave and stupid. Doyen smiled. You said it yourself. We need people who can manage risk. She's the best at that I've ever met. The officer considered this, then nodded. We will make the request. Commander Hana will have to volunteer. She will, Doyen said confidently. He was right. When Hana received the transfer request, she accepted immediately. Her official reason was that the Hazard Engineering Corps needed security expertise. Someone had to protect these crazy humans from themselves. Her unofficial reason was simpler. She had told Doyen to be careful. The only way to make sure he actually was careful was to be there with him. The first Hazard Engineering Corps base was established on a station at the edge of Coalition space. It was small at first. Just Doyen, 3 other human engineers, Hana, and a small security team. Their first mission came a week later. A Coalition ship had crashed on a hostile moon. The crew was alive but trapped. The ship's reactor was unstable. Standard rescue teams said it was too dangerous. Any attempt to stabilize the reactor would likely result in an explosion. Sounds like our kind of job, Doyen said. They deployed in a reinforced transport. Hana briefed them on the tactical situation. Enemy forces controlled the moon's surface. They would need to land, reach the crash site, stabilize the reactor, and evacuate the crew, all while under potential fire. This is insane, one of the other engineers said. Her name was Ji-yeon. She specialized in reactor systems, probably, Doyen agreed. But we're the only ones who can do it. Why us? Why humans? Doyen thought about all the conversations he'd had over the past weeks. About Earth and evolution and why humans were the way they were. He thought about Hana asking him why he took risks. He thought about Taeyang's concerns about safety. Because we're not afraid of impossible, he finally said. Or maybe we are afraid, but we do it anyway. Either way, those people need help, and we're going to help them. The transport dropped through the moon's thin atmosphere. The crash site appeared on their screens. The ship was broken in half, smoke rising from multiple hull breaches. The reactor glowed dangerously bright, fluctuating between stable and critical. 30 minutes until reactor breach, Ji-yeon announced. After that, everyone within 5 kilometers is dead. Then we better work fast, Doyen said. They landed. Hana and her security team secured a perimeter. The engineers ran for the crashed ship, tools and equipment in hand. Inside, frightened crew members huddled in what remained of the bridge. We're here to help, Doyen told them. But you need to evacuate now. Our transport is ready. The reactor, the captain began. We'll handle it. Go. Now. The crew evacuated. The engineers went deeper into the ship, toward the failing reactor. Heat was intense. Radiation warnings flashed on their suits. Any sane person would have turned back. The humans kept going. Here, Ji-yeon said, stopping at a sealed door. Reactor is behind this. Containment is failing. Once we open this door, we're exposed to radiation that would kill most species in minutes. How long do we have? Doyen asked. 10 minutes, maybe 12 if we're lucky. Then let's be lucky. They opened the door and got to work. 12 minutes later, they emerged. All of them were covered in sweat and radiation burns. But the reactor was stable. The crew was safe. The mission was successful. On the transport back, Hana sat next to Doyen. He looked exhausted. They all did. Be careful, she said quietly. 6 months later, the Hazard Engineering Corps had grown. What started with 4 humans and a small security team was now 50 human engineers and a full support staff. Their reputation had spread across Coalition space. When something couldn't be fixed, when something was too dangerous, when everyone else said it was impossible, people called the humans. Doyen stood in his new office, looking out at the engineering bay below. 20 different projects were happening at once. Engineers worked on damaged equipment from a dozen different species. Some repairs were routine. Others were anything but. We have a new request, Hana said, entering the office. She carried a data pad. Mining station in the Cathari system. Reactor malfunction. Standard engineering teams won't go near it. Why not? The station is inside an asteroid field. Active asteroid field. During a meteor storm. They say it's suicide to approach. Doyen smiled. Sounds like fun. Who wants to volunteer? Everyone. I had to turn people away. That's good. Means we're building the right culture. He took the data pad and reviewed the details. 3-person team. Ji-yeon for reactor work. Minho for structural repairs and Sunhee for navigation. You lead security. Obviously, they deployed 6 hours later. The trip to the Cathari system took 2 days. During that time, the team reviewed plans, checked equipment, and prepared for every scenario they could imagine. The mining station appeared on their screens. It was old, built 50 years ago when the Coalition was smaller. It hung in space like a dying animal, surrounded by tumbling rocks and ice. Lights flickered. The reactor signature was wildly unstable. 37 people on that station, Sunhee said from the pilot's seat. They're in emergency shelters, but those won't hold if the reactor goes critical. How long do we have? Doyen asked. 2 hours, maybe 3. And the asteroids? They're the real problem. One wrong move and we get smashed. Our shields can handle small impacts, but anything bigger than a transport and we're done, so we don't get hit by anything big. Simple. Sun He laughed nervously. Simple, right. They began their approach. The transport shook as small rocks bounced off the shields. Warning alarms chimed constantly. Sun He's hands moved across the controls, guiding them through the chaos with steady skill. That's it, Hana said, pointing at a docking port. That's our entry point. It's blocked, Minho observed. Debris from the storm. We'll need to clear it. Can't, Sun He said. We don't have time. Reactor won't wait. Doyen studied the situation. The blocked docking port was their best entry. But clearing it would take precious minutes. Minutes they didn't have. There was another option, though. A damaged section of hull. A hole big enough to fly through if Sun He was very, very skilled. There, Doyen pointed. That breach in the outer hull. Everyone turned to look. The breach was maybe twice the size of their transport. It was surrounded by jagged metal edges, and it was moving as the station rotated slowly. You want me to fly through that? Sun He asked. Can you do it? Maybe, probably, if nothing goes wrong. Good enough. They lined up their approach. The transport moved slowly, matching the station's rotation. Asteroids continued to bounce off their shields. The breach grew larger on their screens. 50 meters, Sun He muttered. 40, 30, an alarm blared. A large asteroid was on a collision course. Not with them. With the station, we need to abort, Minho said. No time, Sun He replied. Her hands moved faster. Hold on! The transport shot forward. Metal scraped against their hull. Sparks flew. They were through the breach and inside the station half a second before the asteroid hit. The impact shook the entire station. The transport crashed onto the deck, skidding sideways. Everyone was thrown against their restraints. When the shaking stopped, Doyen unbuckled and stood. Everyone okay? Various groans confirmed that yes, they were alive. Bruised but alive. Reactor status? He asked. Jian checked her scanner. Critical. We have maybe 90 minutes now. That impact accelerated the failure. Then let's move. They split into teams. Hana and her security squad went to secure the route to the reactor. Doyen's engineering team gathered their equipment and followed. The station's interior was dark. Emergency lights flickered red. The air was cold and thin. They found the station's crew huddled in shelter compartments. Frightened faces looked out through reinforced windows. Coalition rescue, Doyen called out. Stay in the shelters. We'll get you out. The reactor is failing, someone shouted back. You need to evacuate now. We will. After we fix the reactor. You can't fix it. It's beyond repair. Doyen smiled. People keep telling us things are beyond repair. We keep fixing them anyway. The reactor room was a nightmare. Coolant leaked everywhere. Control panels were dark or showing error messages. The reactor core itself pulsed with dangerous light, cycling between stable and critical every few seconds. This is bad, Jian said. Worse than the briefing indicated. The core is about to breach containment. Can you stabilize it? Doyen asked. Not with these conditions. I need the coolant system working. I need the control systems working. I need about 6 hours and a miracle. You've got 90 minutes in us. Will that work? Jian looked at the damaged reactor, then at her team, then back at the reactor. Yeah, maybe if we're lucky. They got to work. Minho climbed into the coolant system, welding burst pipes and replacing damaged valves. Jian worked on the control systems, rerouting power through backup systems that hadn't been used in years. Doyen went directly to the reactor core, working on the containment field that was failing. The core was hot. Incredibly hot. Even with protective equipment, Doyen could feel the heat trying to cook him. Radiation warnings screamed on his suit. He ignored them and kept working. Core temperature is rising, Jian called out. We're running out of time. How much time? 30 minutes. Maybe less. Doyen worked faster. The containment field had 3 main emitters. 2 were completely dead. The third was failing. He needed to repair at least one of the dead emitters or the reactor would explode. The emitters were designed to be replaced, not repaired. But replacement parts weren't available. Doyen would have to rebuild the emitter using whatever he could find. He pulled parts from other systems, a power regulator from life support, a focusing lens from a damaged sensor array, wire and circuits from a control panel. He assembled them into something that looked like it might work. Coolant system is online. Minyo announced. Control systems responding. Shion added. Good, I need 10 more minutes, and we don't have 10 minutes. Core breach in 8 minutes. Doyen's hands moved faster. The makeshift emitter came together piece by piece. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't by the book. But it might work. He installed it and powered it up. The emitter hummed. The containment field flickered. Then steadied. Then strengthened. Core temperature dropping, Jian said. Containment holding. We did it, they had. The reactor was stable. Not perfect, but stable enough. The station was safe. Doyen slumped against the wall, exhausted. His suit was covered in coolant and grease. His hands shook from adrenaline. But they had done it, again. Another impossible task completed. Be careful, Hana said. She had appeared in the doorway watching. I was, Doyen replied. Mostly. I know. They evacuated the station's crew and returned to base. The mission report was filed. Command was pleased. The mining station could be properly repaired now that the immediate danger was past. But something else happened after that mission. Something bigger. Other species started requesting human engineers, not just for dangerous jobs, for all jobs. They wanted the human approach, the human willingness to try new things, the human ability to improvise. Recruitment requests came in. Engineers from other species wanted to join the Hazard Engineering Corps. They wanted to learn the human way of doing things. Doyen found himself teaching classes, explaining human methods to aliens who had been trained to follow strict protocols, teaching them that sometimes the best solution wasn't in the manual, that sometimes you had to try things that seemed dangerous or impossible. But what if we fail? A Valkyrian engineer asked during one class. Then you learn from the failure and try again, Doyen replied. That's how humans develop technology. We failed a lot. We still do. But every failure teaches us something. Your species doesn't fear failure. We fear it plenty. But we fear not trying even more. The Hazard Engineering Corps became a model for other coalition divisions. The idea spread. Maybe strict protocols weren't always the best approach. Maybe calculated risks were acceptable. Maybe impossible just meant difficult. The coalition started to change. Slowly. Carefully. But change nonetheless. 3 years after that first armor repair, Doyen stood in his office again. But it wasn't the same small office on a border station. This was coalition headquarters. The Hazard Engineering Corps had its own building now. Hundreds of engineers. Thousands of successful missions Hana entered as she often did. She still wore her armor, though it had been modified many times since that first repair. It was now a true hybrid of Valkyrian and human technology. Stronger than pure Valkyrian armor, more adaptable. The council wants to see you, she said. What did I do this time? Nothing bad. They want to give you an award, another one? I'm running out of wall space, and this one is different. They're making you a coalition hero, the first human to receive the honor.